everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Gab Mentality. Yeah, my husband is smiling. I think this is the first time that he has caught us because usually he's asleep. But anyway, good afternoon, everyone. And again, I'd like to apologize because I didn't realize it's daylight saving time. So, napaaga yata yung ng 1 hour, yung unang broadcast that I set on the events. But anyway, good afternoon and thank you for joining us. And I hope Shopee is feeling better kasi last time we had to reschedule because she
Yeah,
didn't feel well. So I hope you're feeling better. Kamusta ka naman? Are you doing well? Okay ka na
I was
ba?
having a bad case of headache the last week, the last Sunday.
Mm-mm.
So ito naman, medyo I'm feeling like there's cold and flu coming up.
Oh my
Pero my
gosh.
throat is quite itchy. Pero it's the back-to-back classes. And
Oo nga.
yun. So, but yeah, I have to drink lots of fluids na
Oo
lang.
nga.
And vitamin C naman every day. And it's
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
ECQ
So,
once again over here.
ECQ ulit. Okay. So,
Yes.
na-announce na ito ng ating mahal na Pangulo.
Yeah, I believe so. Pero ano, may kaunting what do you call this? Kaibahan from last year because last year was
Okay.
like total lockdown if you remember, like
Mm.
super ghost town ang mga kalsada natin, and then
Oh
totally
my
walang mga businesses.
gosh.
It
Yeah.
were just the hospitals that were operating. But
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
now, well, it's no different that though mas maraming cases, close to 10,000 if I'm not mistaken.
Close to
And
10,000 already. Yesterday, I just saw it's 8,000. So, tumaas na pala ng 10,000.
oo, kaya nga ginawang nag-ECQ na naman eh. So,
Mm.
yun yung lagay. Pero I think may mga bukas pang mga establishments naman.
Okay.
Mga offices are allowed to operate, but
Mm-mm.
department stores, only essentials are available. So there are no
Okay.
dine-in options. Balik na naman sa take-out, Chorvaloo.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Okay. Pero right now, since it's ECQ, how long will it run? I haven't.
Well, that I have no idea. Kasi nung nakaraan, nag-announce, parang it was gonna be up until April 4. Tapos iniba na
Okay.
naman nila.
Mm.
ECQ na naman muna ulit. So,
Mm.
siguro this will last I'm guessing a month or so kasi we
I
really
see.
have to curb the number. It's scary. I mean,
Mm.
10,000 pag tinignan mo yung mapa,
Yeah.
kung ilan yung mga affected, it's like the whole of Luzon is like riddled with red
Okay.
almost. Covered na talaga siya ng pula. So, kung
Mm.
ikaw lalabas ka, mag-ingat ka talaga kasi hindi mo alam
Yeah,
eh.
that's
And I
true.
think the variant, according to one of my doctor friends, iba yung um pagre-reveal. I don't know the term, I forgot the term that she used.
Mm-hmm.
Yung pagre-reveal ng virus.
Yeah.
So, unlike before, it's like colds and flu. Ngayon
Yeah.
parang may abdominal pain, may LBM na kasama. So parang kapag nakita na nila yung patient nila na nagpapakita ng symptoms na gano'n, automatic ina-advise na nila na mag self-quarantine.
Self-quarantine na ngayon. Okay. So I think it's also the
Yes.
same here that if you tested positive, my friend who's working in the hospital as a nurse said it's
Uh-huh.
it's advised that they just stay home. But if it's really the worst case, and that's the only time that you can go to the hospital. Sabi nga niya, hindi nga raw masyadong feel ngayon sa hospital na may pandemic. But of course, everybody is still being careful. Kami naman on lockdown
Oo.
until April 18th.
Okay.
Yun naman sa amin. Okay. So anyway, I'm glad you're feeling better. And the reason why we have this last episode for the month of March, hindi naman last episode forever, but last episode for
Pinush
the month
natin
of
'to.
March, pinush namin na we'll be talking about still women, kasi
Mm,
it's Women's History Month. So, ang aming
yes.
topic ay, of course, the unstoppable women. So, we will be listing down women that we admire. So, let's see if you agree with our list or maybe meron kayong gustong idagdag. So, please feel free to post your comments on the in the comment section. Tapos we will
Yes.
also be reading some questions if you have any burning questions or whatever. So some may be controversial
Yeah.
kasi some of you may not agree with us nga, di ba? But then again, we will not look at the personal lives of these people, pero maybe we can touch a little bit on that. But we'll be focusing more on the how do you say? We'll be focusing more on the achievements or the
Achievements and
accomplishments
accomplishments.
of these women. So why don't we go ahead and start? I'll share my screen.
Yep.
Ayan.
So,
Okay.
hello to our viewers. Welcome to Gap Mentality. Thank you for
Welcome.
your time with us. Hopefully, you can stay with us up until the end
The
of our
very end.
presentation. Yes.
Mhm. Oh, by the way, we'd like to say thank you to those people who followed our Facebook page. Nasa last time
Yes.
I checked, it's 100. Ano yung sabi ko sa'yo, message kita. Ano yung, ilan na sila?
100, more than 150.
Uh,
Teka lang.
I think close to 160. Wow, di ba? So, thank you. Thank you
Yes.
to like, mm,
Ay, 159. So, to my friends who supported, salamat. Maraming maraming salamat.
to
Please spread
our
the
friends and
word.
family. Yes. So, hindi naman siya, um, it wasn't what we were expecting actually. It
Oo.
wasn't yun, but we were really very thankful for the support. Okay, so please stay with us, and kung meron kayong burning questions or meron kayong comments or reactions, please feel free to post it. And of course, we will be sharing if you have any comments or whatnot, then we will be able to share it with you. Teka nga, ano ba to?
Oh, and by the way, Palm Sunday na pala. So,
Oh
a
yeah, it's
blessed
Palm Sunday.
Sunday to everyone. Before I actually went online, I was doing my face because I was riddled with reddish something, my allergies dahil ang init-init po dito sa Pilipinas. So, ayun, I was listening to Jesus Christ Superstar, of course,
Of
dahil
course.
panahon na niya. It's, of
Forever,
course, my
lagi
favorite.
naman panahon niya.
My
Oo.
favorite soundtrack kasi kapag mahal na
Ah,
araw, yun instead na mga passion yung pinapakinggan ko, yun yung pinapakinggan ko.
oo nga. Naalala ko one of my friends, si Jonah, sabi niya when I think we watched Jesus Christ Superstar in one of our classes, she said, ano daw tatay, lolo o tatay ni Axel Rose. Sabi, ganun siya sinabi ko na naalala ko, natawa lang ako. Hindi ko maalala kung sino kung who is she referring to na tatay daw
Probably,
ni Axel Rose.
probably oh my God, si Ted Neely na yung
Baka
nire-refer
si
niya.
Ted Neely nga yung sinasabi niya.
Ay, kasi si Ted Neely, ka-level niya yung boses ni, ay, sorry, hindi pala, si
Si
Axl Rose
Axel
pala yung
Rose is a
gitarista.
guitarist.
Yeah, oo,
Oo.
iba, si ano pala, yung, I was thinking of the vocalist ng Guns N' Roses.
Oo nga eh. Ewan ko ba dyan? Sabi niya, oh, sino yung lolo
Kasi
daw ni
katimbre
Axel
eh.
Rose. Katimbre. Oh. Ewan ko. Anyway,
Ay,
we digress. Ito na tayo. We are such chatterboxes. So, ito na si Gab Mentality, episode 6. Ayan na. Okay. So,
Kirit.
if you notice in the photos, we have yan. So, isa-isahin natin kung sino yung mga ladies na ating pag-uusapan today. Alright? Last time kasi we focused on the Filipino heroines. So, this time, medyo let's go across the pond. So, tingnan natin kung sino yung ito yung mga ladies that we admire. Okay? So,
Yep.
let's go ahead to the first one. Of course, it's Gloriana herself, Elizabeth the First. And Thursday last week was her death anniversary. So,
Uh-huh. Yep.
ayan siya. So, who is Elizabeth the First? So, first of all, she was never meant to be queen kasi
Right?
she's the third child. So, the second daughter pa. And of
Mm-hmm.
course, ito yung, alala mo, Shops, na we were talking about it. We were wondering how she felt about her mother, and our questions
Oh,
were answered by Dr. Tracy Borman in her latest
yes.
documentary about Elizabeth I. That's why if we've also included here in the presentation that she was apparently fond of her mother and of her memory.
Uh-huh.
What was the evidence that was shown? Uh, would you like
It
to
was
share?
a Yeah, it was like a trinket, particularly a pendant that she wore. If I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken, it's either a pendant that para sa necklace or a ring that she
Mm-hmm.
wore. So nung nakita yun ni Dr. Tracy Borman, it had her face and the face of Anne Boleyn within that pendant. So that was
Mm-hmm.
really heartwarming, and it's proof na even though she really didn't talk about her mother during her lifetime, there
Mm-hmm.
was a part of her that still, knew her, kind of like respected her, and really, I think somehow she longed to have been with her up until,
Yeah.
um, her olden days, so to speak.
Yeah, and kasi 'di ba she lost her mother when she was very young. So wala
I
talaga
think
siyang she didn't really grow
wala
up
pa yata
3 years
siyang three
old.
years old. Oo.
Yeah, she didn't really grow up with a mother figure. That's why she had a string of stepmothers.
Yes.
That's why the last one, her father's last wife, Catherine Parr, was the one who she saw as a mother figure.
Uh-huh.
And since she was declared illegitimate because her father annulled his marriage with her mother and had her executed. Kaya she was not really given much attention while she was growing up. But when Catherine Parr became her stepmother, uh, Catherine took interest in her education. So she brought in a Cambridge scholar, Roger Ascham, to be her tutor. And of course, Elizabeth was very intelligent. She could speak several languages fluently.
Yep.
Diba? So, na-nurture her gift was nurtured
Yeah.
because she was very intelligent, as all the other Tudor children were. Okay, and of course, when her father died and her half brother became king, she lived with her stepmother. But of
Yan.
course, she got embroiled in a scandal because
Skandalo.
nahuli siya in a passionate embrace with
Thomas Seymour.
Catherine's new husband Thomas Seymour. 'Di ba naging issue 'yan? Kasi
Yes.
na it also came to there was also a question if they really had an affair.
Oo.
Yun ang naging question doon. Yeah,
Whether
so
it was
dahil
really an affair nga ba, or was it
mhm,
like a molestation
mhm,
case? Kasi
mhm.
Elizabeth back then was just a budding woman. She was like technically a teenager siguro, mga
Teenage, yeah,
13 or
15,
14.
yeah,
Oh,
something like
ganon.
yeah. So parang sabi nga baka daw it's yun nga, sexual molestation. And in one documentary by Susanna Lipscomb and Jack
Lipscomb.
Jones, sabi nila what Thomas Seymour did was called grooming. You're not familiar with
Yeah.
that? What is grooming? I'm not really totally familiar with grooming. Alam ko yung
Oh,
grooming yung pag-aayos lang or whatever. Pero sa
siguro we can look at
psychology,
we can look at the term as, he was really getting into the favor of Elizabeth. Somehow he sees into the future. Siguro futurist itong si Thomas Seymour, and at the same time he has underlying plans to
mm,
get into the court siguro kasi he already married Catherine Parr na
mm, mm,
widow na ni Henry VIII nung time na yon. Siguro nung mga panahon na yan, he was thinking that Elizabeth would really be, favored to take in the throne.
mm, mm.
Unfortunately, people, and alam naman natin na he's a conniving guy.
Yeah.
He has, what do you call this? Ang dami niyang monkey business eh.
Mm,
Kaya,
mm, mm.
kumbaga, ang tingin sa kanya ng history eh, kumbaga, hindi mo mapagkakatiwalaan. Kaya if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
he did not die a natural death. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, he was executed.
There you go. So that's
Yeah.
proof.
So that's true. He was very ambitious, and tama yung adjective that you've used. He was very conniving, and I think he was also considered what the Georgians would call a rake.
Yes. Exactly, yeah, a rake.
a rake.
Oo.
So, he's very charming. So sabi nga nila, he could get away with almost anything because he was
Oo.
charming, he was good looking. That's why na in love si Catherine Parr sa kanya. So sabi nila, it's also possible that maybe Elizabeth was infatuated or
Oo,
whatever because he was
puwede
very
din.
charming. Okay.
True.
And of course, yeah, so na-deads na nga si Thomas Seymour. Uh, and Elizabeth never saw her stepmother again because she was banished nga nung nahuli sila. So, sorry, na-excite sila sa pinilalaro niya. When Catherine Parr died, Elizabeth didn't see her anymore then before she died. So, ayun na nga. And when Edward the sixth died, yung half-brother niya. So, eventually, her sister Mary became queen. Ito yung, in that period, nagkaroon ng, para sabi na usurpation daw because their cousin was
Yes.
given the crown, the nine-day queen, Lady Jane
Oo,
Grey.
Lady Jane
So,
Grey.
syempre umalma yung sister niya, si Mary. So, they staged like I wouldn't say it's a coup because or maybe technically it's a coup because
Yeah.
Jane was already proclaimed in crown, proclaimed queen, but she was never crowned. So
So she wasn't
um,
anointed?
she wasn't anointed but declared already na she was
Oo.
queen. Pero kasi yung ceremony mismo, hindi nangyari kasi nga
Ah,
19
okey.
sila. Diba?
Oo,
So
Peggy.
na Peggy. So si Mary called on her sister so they could go to London together. So they showed a united front. Kasi nga naman
Yes.
yun, sila talaga yung dapat na susunod sa succession. But of course, in 1554, she was put under suspicion because nagkaroon ng rebellion by Thomas Wyatt. I think this was the same Thomas Wyatt who was linked to her mother, Anne Boleyn, years ago. I'm
Oh,
not sure.
okey.
But I think he was the same Thomas Wyatt or anak ng Thomas Wyatt. I,
Oh,
I think so, but uh,
probably, oo.
probably. Kasi ang dami kasi Thomas Wyatts eh.
Oo.
So she was put under suspicion because nagiging I think this is very true for a lot of Tudors. They're very paranoid.
Oo, parang hindi naman natin maiiwasan na may paranoia sa blood nila because if you go back to their history, how they have gotten the crown, eh 'di ba? It will be a long talk for us kung itatakal natin yung Wars of the Roses at kung paano sila napunta sa kinalalagyan nila. So hindi na ako magugulat kung talagang mga paranoid yung itong mga Tudors.
So they're paranoid. So of course, her sister Mary was paranoid that she might have something to do with the rebellion because Mary
Yes.
brought back Catholicism in England. So
Yeah.
yung mga Protestants, they don't want to go back to the old religion. So they thought of Elizabeth as a figurehead.
Oo.
So she was locked up in the Tower of London kasi nga napaparanoid si ate niya.
Yes.
But eventually, Mary died, so she was crowned as queen. She was only 25, and the coronation was spectacular, according to
I
the
love her
reports.
painting, oo. When she
Diba?
was,
Yung,
like,
ang ganda
first
ng
crowned.
painting niya. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember too that with this as what we posted here on the presentation that she paused on her way to Westminster Abbey to talk to the people, accept the congratulations, accept flowers. So para siyang walkthrough na ginagawa ng mga royals ngayon na
Oo,
they go to the people, they chit-chat a bit, they accept flowers. So
oo.
parang ginawa na rin niya before, di ba? And she reinstated the Church of England in 1559. And I had to really look into what she meant when she said, I desire not to make windows into men's souls. Ang
Right.
ibig sabihin pala no na parang there should be a separation of church and state. Parang hindi dapat ididikta ng state kung ano ang belief ng isang tao.
Ah,
Mhm.
okay, I
So
see
that's what
that.
I had to look it up. So, ano ibig sabihin ng windows into men's souls na your conscience hindi dapat dinidiktahan ng gobyerno or ng state.
I see.
Yun. Okay. So ano pa? Yeah. Ayun nga. Elizabeth had many suitors.
She was known as the Virgin Queen,
Yeah.
right?
Which you believe she was a virgin? That's another.
No. 'Di ba, diretso ako nagsabi, "No."
No, 'di ba? So I also don't think so. But maybe she's just it's a it's a representation of some sort.
Oo.
So she had many suitors, but the one talaga na she really loved was Robert Dudley.
Yes.
Yun talaga. Siya,
Her forever love.
forever love, 'di ba? So but of course she came close to marrying pero parang lagi siyang umaat parang urong-sulong siya.
I
And
don't
I
know.
think
I think it was because of her distance from her father while she was
mm,
growing up that she really had no intention of establishing a romantic relationship with a man. So she said that her heart belongs to the people. She has a relationship with her people, not exactly with a particular guy. Parang hindi naman niya sinabi na I don't see myself, pero she declared na she belongs to the people.
yeah. And I think no there was I think there she came close to marrying yung ano uh
Yung
Duke
French.
Duke of Orleans? No, no, Duke of Anjou. No, Duke of Orleans
Anjou.
ata. Anjou. Ah, tama si
Anjou.
Anjou.
Oo.
I forgot his name, but
I forgot the
the nickname she gave him is her little frog or something. Parang
yeah.
gano'n. So
Oo.
she came close to that. Pero kaya nga raw in 1566, Parliament doesn't want to grant her any further funds until she agrees to a marriage.
'Di
Obviously,
ba?
she didn't
Parang,
agree.
kaloka
So
lang.
kaloka lang. Pero I think she was really being pushed to get married and have heirs kasi nga syempre hindi
Yes.
pa talaga not really stable but there would be some other people who would say that they have a better claim,
And it's
right?
really funny how what happened after her death. And of course, kasama na dun sa storya na yon si Mary Queen of Scots.
Yeah,
Na
so
parang
yeah.
hindi mo akalain na ganun yung mangyayari considering
Mm,
how crazy her father was while he was alive, with regard to having an heir to
mm,
have the Tudor line last.
that's right. Totoo, 'di ba? 'Di ba ganun talaga ang buhay. But of course her
Unexpected,
reign,
oo.
yeah, her reign was also known as the golden age kasi there was a flourishing of uh, playwrights such as the Bard,
Yes.
William Shakespeare, and of course Christopher Marlowe. Yeah,
Marlowe.
so those are two of my favorite English writers, Shakespeare and Marlowe.
Yep.
Yun. Okay. Ito na sinasabi ni before natin puntahan yung sinasabi ni Shops na very funny yung nangyari at the end. It was Elizabeth who pushed the exploration beyond Europe. So nag-sponsor siya ng mga explorations like yung exploration na ginawa ni Sir Walter Raleigh.
Yeah.
So they discovered no, not really discovered because America was already there.
Yeah.
I I want to use the term ni Sir Albert Ocampo na hindi discovered kasi it's already there. So maybe encountered encountered a different land or a different place. So nag-expand sila for trade and increase the nation's wealth. That's why they did a lot of exploration and voyages of discovery. That's why the state of Virginia is named after her because she's the
Yes.
Virgin Queen.
Right.
Okay, ito na, di ba? Ito na yung sinasabi ni Shops na she had a big rival who is Mary Queen of Scots. You want to talk about it?
So Mary Queen of Scots is a first cousin, right? A first
Yeah.
cousin of Elizabeth. So parang nung bumalik si Mary Queen of Scots from France to, reunite with her brother and of course take over the rule of Scotland, she decided na tama ba? Parang to reunite with Elizabeth para na rin maging ally sila sa ano yan, maging ally sila in short.
Yeah.
Pero the thing is, dahil sa mga chuchu bells or chuwari-wops ni Elizabeth, parang ang naging siste is they built Mary as like a rival. Kumbaga, she's someone you cannot trust, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to ally with your cousin, regardless whether she's persistent na, we're sisters, we should like hold or rule England and Scotland together because we together we can accomplish many things, a lot of things. Well, apart from them being both women, no matter how high a position they hold in England and in Scotland, they were still seen as the weaker sex by men.
Mm-hmm.
Because overall, they were still being, kumbaga, advised by men, so to speak. Wala silang women advisors. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
with every single thing that I've read off of the internet and other books, I've never saw, or rather, I've never heard of a lady advisor off of, na nag-advise kina Elizabeth and Mary Queen of Scots. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, these two women, regardless of them exchanging letters for how many years, they never saw each other eye to eye, like literally,
Yeah.
physically, kahit na nung nandun na sa
Si
England
Mary.
si Mary, which was
Yeah.
really funny. Ganun katindi yung mga advisors ni Elizabeth. She was like heavily guarded. Even the advice that were being given to her na, no, you don't listen to her, you don't even try giving into her suggestions kasi nga, um baka mamaya may ibang plano yan.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, she's a
Yeah.
Scot. Oo, yun.
And apparently another reason why they Elizabeth was also apprehensive of meeting her kasi it was known all around the world or all across Europe that Mary Queen of Scots was very charming. So
Yes.
baka daw
Oo.
ma-charm siya. Kaya,
Kasi
pero
nga,
I was
yun nga,
tama.
winner siya eh. Winner siya pagdating sa lalaki. I mean, she can easily charm a man. I mean, even the court, nung bumalik siya sa Scotland, easily nakuha niya yung kumbaga yung
Mhm,
attention.
mhm, mhm. That's right. And I was like, sayang talaga because
Oo, ako
started
din.
it started really good na sabi nga it was the first time that two monarchs were female. Tapos they
Yes.
are neighbors. And I think they would have formed a very formidable alliance if
Yeah.
things were different.
Right.
Diba? And like what you've said, they've been exchanging letters for years and parang sisterly love. And
Oo.
it would have been very successful and like you said, kung hindi masyadong nakialam itong mga advisors. I mean,
Advisors.
as much as I admire William Cecil,
Oo.
isa siya sa mga nag-push na, ay, hindi ka pwede, you can't trust her. And
Yes.
interestingly, Elizabeth was the godmother of Mary's son,
Oo.
James. 'Di ba?
James.
Magkumare pa pala sila.
Correct.
So it was really very sad that these women didn't really get to meet
Oo,
face to face.
nasasayangan din ako. Parang, what if the opposite happened? What if they became really allies, they became good friends, and
Mhm.
really ruled side by side? Whatever Elizabeth has established might have been tripled or doubled or tripled. Likewise, Mary in
Mhm.
Scotland. Alam mo yun?
And yeah, and Mary wouldn't have made really those reckless decisions
Oo.
kasi Mary was very beautiful, very charming, but syunga-syunga siya pagdating sa
Di ba
pag-ibig.
napagbintangan pa nga siyang pumatay dun sa isa niyang lover, or 'di
Sa
ba?
husband niya, she was
Husband, ayun,
si
husband niya.
Henry Lord Darnley. She was accused of being
Yes.
um uh parang one of
Plotting
the
the death.
masterminds
Oo.
of the murder. Tapos what shocked Elizabeth was she married the man who was accused of murdering her husband.
Oo,
So
oo.
ayun.
Well, apparently it was like a sort of a kidnapping thing daw,
Yeah.
and
Sabi,
kini-claim din ng ibang history books or
historians,
ibang
yeah.
historians na she was actually forced into that, and there was even a claim that she was raped by,
Mhm,
I
by
f-
Bothwell.
yes, by Bothwell.
Ayun, okay. But yeah, but going back to Elizabeth, ayun na nga, she really couldn't sit still on her throne kasi there were so many threats to
Oo.
her, especially she's a Protestant queen. And
So, galit sa
yung
kanya
neighbors
ang
nila,
mainit sa kanya ang Spain, mga
ang
Spanyol.
Spain, ang Espanyol at ang Rome as well.
Oo,
And that's why maraming ini-sponsor na assassination attempts ang church sa kanya.
'di ba?
Diba? But of course, one of her victories, speaking of mainit sa kanya ang Spain, one of her victories was a defeat of the Spanish Armada in
Yes.
1508. Yun doon. Kasi nga, to think na they are really outnumbered and outgunned because
Oo,
the Armada was massive. It was huge. So, parang
highly
sabi nila, oh,
modernized, oo.
very modern na talaga. Yun nga lang, the thing is, since siguro England was positioned uh, surrounded by water and the
Strategic, oo.
strategic din yung location nila, and they have smaller ships, so the smaller ships were much smaller and much lighter to maneuver compared to the massive armada, kaya rin
Yeah.
sabi nila ano naging favorable ang winds.
Oo.
Oh, okay, so
So,
ayun,
isa-isa nagsipaglubugan yung mga sumusugod sa kanila. So,
at
yun.
nag-scatter na lang sila, di
Oo,
ba?
correct.
Ayun. And of course, ito yung sinasabi rin ni Shops na on her deathbed, she named James the Sixth of Scotland, the son of Mary, Queen of Scots, as her heir.
Oo,
I think to the very end, she refused to name an heir.
oo.
And a lot of history books said she didn't sleep. Ayaw niya matulog for days. Kasi sabi niya, pag natulog daw siya, baka hindi na siya magising. So she didn't until I think they were really able to persuade her to go to and
Oo.
persuade her to name an heir. So sabi mo nga, it's really ironic
Oo, ironic how she
na
ended up naming her godchild her heir. Na parang you went through all of that just to end up naming your godson. Parang why did you even kill the mother if ganyan naman pala yung gagawin mo? Parang ang sarap siyang sabunutan dun sa part na yun. Parang kung ako din man yun na I'm on my deathbed, siguro I will definitely regret what I did
mhm,
considering na I will name my godson din naman pala. Di sana,
ayun.
'di ba?
Sana.
Nakipag-alay na lang ako.
Eh, yeah, that's very ironic. But then like, that's
Oo,
why it was the first time that both countries united under one
oo,
crown.
yes.
Yun. Okay. So, anything else to add about Gloriana
Well,
that you
there
could
were,
think of?
of course, a lot of negative write-ups against her.
Mhm.
There was we all know that her sister is called Bloody Mary, but it doesn't make her any different from Bloody Mary.
Mhm.
She also actually, she was supervised, but she was behind a lot of deaths as well while she
Mhm.
was uh, while she was the queen.
Yeah.
Obviously, she wasn't in favor of the Catholics, and marami din namang nag-suffer na Catholics under her
Mhm.
her reign. But overall, it was her achievements that really put her on top of our list.
Mhm.
And again, she was the longest reigning monarch before the
Before.
current reigning monarch in Great Britain. So,
Mhm.
alam mo yun,
Yeah.
nakakabilib considering na it was a very backward time
Mhm.
and women prior to her had to go through a lot and were even called she wolves, but no, Mary and her, they really went to the top and became
Yeah.
monarchs.
Yeah, they were the first, well, Mary was the first queen in her own right.
Yes.
Diba? Ayun. Okay, but of course, now that we have talked about Gloriana or Elizabeth the First, let's move on to another
Uh-huh.
great woman. So that's why she's called Catherine the Great because she's great.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, si Catherine the
Yes.
Great. But of course, Catherine was not really meant to rule as Empress of Russia. So she was born Princess Sophie of Anhalt-Zerbst in Pomerania, Prussia. So it's now
Oh.
part of Poland. Sabi ko nga
Uh-huh.
kay Mati, di ba ang Prussia, they speak German? Sabi ko, so
Yes.
ibig sabihin yun din ba ang, sabi niya, no, yun ba ang pinaka-capital or something? Sabi niya, at that time, uh, Germany wasn't the united country that it is now. So it's divided
See?
by states or duchies,
Uh-huh.
and Prussia is one of them. And yeah, And Catherine or Princess Sophie, she was the longest reigning female ruler of Russia. Yan.
Wow.
And she was only 14 when she became the wife of her second cousin, Grand Duke Peter, heir to the Russian throne. And Peter was also German.
Okay.
Kasi yun, tawag dito, I
All in the
think,
family talaga.
all in the family talaga. That's why Sophie or Catherine, she had to learn Russian. That's one of the things why people loved her because she tried to learn the language. She tried to get to know the people. And she was very intelligent. So in
Uh-huh.
1744, she married Peter. But of course, it was a complete failure. Kasi si Peter was weird. He liked to play with toy soldiers. Sobrang,
Literally.
literally, he likes to play with toy soldiers. Tapos there was even, I think, one instance na he hanged a mouse or a rat because the
Wow.
rat daw um, was anong tawag sa mga ano is a deserter, something like that.
Okay.
Diba? He's not right in he wasn't right in the head. And
Uh-huh.
he he was a big admirer of King Frederick of Prussia na matagal na palang parang rival yata ng Russia at that time. Yun.
Okay.
So, ang weird niya. And si Catherine or si Princess Sophie, she wasn't really very beautiful, but she was intelligent and she was charming. Ayun. And napansin na niya from the very beginning since medyo may katok yung asawa niya.
Ngayon ko
Na-realize
lang ulit narinig yung word na yan, may katok.
when she realized na he wasn't really very capable of ruling, naisip niya maybe I could take his place. So parang from
Oo.
that early on, na-realize na niya yan.
Naging
So
proactive na siya.
yeah, naging proactive. And then, I think it was really very admirable na she tried to integrate herself in the country. She learned about her new country, her new people. She learned the language. She was said to have talked to yung mga servants para as a way for her to practice speaking Russian. So ganun daw siya. And of course when uh, both of them were crowned, they were crowned on the 20th of December 1761. But the following year, she overthrew Peter in a coup d'etat.
'Di
Kasi
ba?
'di ba sa
Nagpaku
nagpaku siya. So she was proclaimed sole ruler of Russia. Ang ginawa niya pala talagang she really looked for allies, even the
wise.
clergy kasi even especially the clergy because the clergy was very powerful during the time and si Peter kasi he didn't really see the importance of the clergy kaya na-depose siya but I think he surrendered and said that he wouldn't cause any trouble so parang natakot na lang siguro natakot na din siya because Catherine had a lot of support
Madaling
ayun
kausap.
madaling kausap. And I think she was also, Catherine was also, she found out that, sabi nga nila, for the Romanovs, blood isn't really thicker than water kasi may mga pinapapatay din silang mga kamag-anak.
Oo.
Yun. And of course, sabi nga nila that one of the reasons why she's great, she led Russia against the Ottoman Empire. So when they beat the Turks, the Russia became the powerhouse in southeastern Europe, and she's very much into reform. So she reformed education, and like she established female schools, yung mga all girls school or mga finishing
Nice.
schools. One of them is the Smolny Institute. Ito yung mga for girls of the nobility. Yung
Oh,
yung isang
just like in
mistress,
Bridgerton.
yeah, Ryan Bridgerton may finishing schools. So I remembered in tawag dito, yung isang mistress ng isang Romanov emperor, I think Alexander the Third yata. Yung mistress niya na very young lady was from the Smolny Institute. Kasi nga yung
Oh,
pagiging
okay.
member of the nobility. Pero kung hindi ka member of the nobility, Catherine also got that covered. Pwede rin kayong mag-aral in the Novodevichi
Novodevichy.
Institute Institute in Moscow. So these are for daughters of commoners. So she got
I
it
see.
covered, di ba? Yan. So first daw yan in Europe. And
Nice.
in 1775, she declared age for the administration of the provinces of the Russian Empire. I think they followed this ordinance until I think the early 1900s or late 1800s. Yun. So marami siyang ginawang um, uh, pagbabago,
Advancements? Oo.
advancement. I think she was inspired by Peter the Great, who was also very forward, who was also a very forward thinker. So ayun, kasi nga 'di ba pag sinabi mong Russia during that time, iisipin ng mga tao it was very backward. May mga yung feudal system is still
Oo.
being observed. So pag sinabi mo, Russia, a very backward country. But she didn't see it like that. Kasi may mga nakita siyang potential. Yan. And yeah, she was also um,
Instrumental.
instrumental in the free economic society. So yun naman sa agriculture. So syempre hindi lang sa education, she also did some um, work when it comes to agriculture. She tried to adapt some uh, modern techniques na they could use. And she was also a supporter of the Age of Enlightenment. Kaya daw she always communicates with Voltaire and
Oh,
other philosophers. So she
nice.
supported a lot of writers, a lot of artists during her time. Kasi she wanted Russia daw to be similar to the court of Versailles. Yun.
Nice.
And this is, I think, the biggest one that she contributed. She wrote the Nakas or Instruction of Catherine the Great as a document to guide the All
All
Russian
Russian
Legislative Commission of
Legislative Commission.
1767. And rumor has it that it was also the basis for the writing of the US Constitution. Sabi,
Oh,
chika.
interesting.
Yeah, interesting. So that's what I encountered in the readings. Yun. Pero ano yung mga myths about Catherine the Great that you have heard of?
Cor- Correct me if I'm wrong. Mahilig siya sa mga oddities. She has
Mm-hmm.
like a number of collections that has uh how do I say this? Phallic na may mga phallic symbols.
Oo.
Parang iyon, and she loves men.
She loves men. Oo.
I
And
I think she had a lot of conquest or a number of conquest. Although, yun nga, sabi mo, hindi naman siya kagandahan, pero she was very intellectual and yun nga, charming.
mm,
Plus, she knows what she wants and she was very, she knows how to lead a country. I mean, you being a woman, isipin mo na i-dethrone mo yung husband mo. 'Di ba? Parang you got to have a lot of balls to do that
yeah.
during that during those times na
Mm-mm.
na alam naman natin na hindi talaga favored ang mga kababaihan.
Yeah, that's why. And to think na she's not even hindi pa siya talaga Russian.
Oo.
She wasn't even Russian. And of course, she used her intellect talaga tsaka yung kung ano yung mga nababasa niya. She invited philosophers, she invited artists. So it was really the age of enlightenment
Oo.
during her reign. Kaya yun yung, sabi nga din, may isa pang chismis na since she loved sex a lot. May
Yeah.
chismis na she did it with a horse. I don't think it's true.
Yun.
Oo,
Apparently, pero sobra naman.
apparently. Kaya
Pero hindi
sabi
na ako
din,
nagulat nung nakita ko yung mga furniture niya.
oh, kasi I think she has a certain room dedicated for just that. Yeah. And before kasi ang kanilang ano daw, ang kanilang stuff for pornography was paintings of nudity. Yun daw pala, kung wala pa kasi Playboy dati or kung ano, Hustler magazine, wala pa noon. Meron sila painting. Mga painting
I
na
see.
kalaki-laki, oo. May napanood ako, I think it's about Maria Theresa of Austria. Parang she and her husband had those kinds of paintings
Oh, okay.
to get them in the mood. Yun, 'di
Akala ko
ba?
malalaki, eh, 'no?
Ang laki. So it's a very interesting. It's interesting and a little bit surprising, but I think yun. Anyway. And then isa pang chismis daw, yung anak daw niya wasn't really the son nung husband niya. Chismis.
Oh,
Kasi
okay.
since the marriage wasn't really very good,
Oo.
uh, yung reigning empress no, I think it's Empress Elizabeth, ginawa niya, she placed a man sa circle niya to make her fall in love with him and do the deed with him. Pero kasi ang lumabas yung anak niya, kamukha naman nung anak ng si Paul, kamukha naman, hawig naman ni Peter. So, possible
So,
nga
hindi
daw
mo
na yun.
maikakaila, oo.
Hindi ko makakaila. So, ayun. Pero yun yung chismis na Paul wasn't her son by her husband. Yun. Anyway, so that's Catherine the Great. Isn't she great? So let's
Yes, she
go.
is.
Isn't she great? Yeah. So let's go to another
Ah,
lady. Do you want
the
to do
Iron
this?
yeah, the Iron Lady, Margaret Thatcher. She was born October 13, 1925, and died April 8, 2013. Well, I doubt if may contemporaries tayo na hindi nakakilala sa kanya.
Okay.
But, she was dubbed as the Iron Lady by the Russians due to her uncompromising politics and leadership style. If you want to know like a bit of who she was, she has, I think Meryl Streep played her. I love that
Ah,
movie.
yeah. I've seen that
Yeah,
movie.
that was nice. And watch The Crown. She has a
Ay,
bit
oh,
there, played by Gillian Anderson. Gillian was very good.
oh yeah.
So,
Very,
highly recommended. Panoorin niyo po yun. Season 4, tama?
yeah.
Ng
Season
The
4.
Crown. So, Margaret was a chemist. She worked partly as a chemist. She studied chemistry in Somerville University, if I'm not mistaken. And then eventually she decided to become a barrister. In 1979, she led her party to victory and then became the first female to be elected head of government in Europe, not only in the UK. So that was really a huge achievement in modern day um, Great Britain, or in Europe rather. She was the longest serving British Prime Minister kasi from 1979 to 1990. That's like how many decades? And
Mm-hmm.
ilang pagpapalit sa fashion at saka sa music 'yan.
Ay,
'Di
oo
ba? Kung
nga.
tutuusin
Yeah.
mo, kasi nung rule niya, I think she was really hindi ko naman masabing malas, pero ang hirap nung pinagdaanan niya as a ruler. She
Yeah.
had London back then was like a place for riots. Talagang ang
Mm.
daming riots na nangyayari nung katalamakan ng rule niya. And she was able to get past that. She even survived assassination attempts. I think twice while
Mm.
she was the prime minister. She graduated in from the University of Oxford in 1947 with second class honors. Um, like she specialized in uh, chemistry,
Chemistry.
specializing in X-ray crystallography, which reminded me of one of series Breaking Bad kasi crystallography to. Walter White was an
Crystallography.
he was like the best cook dun sa sa series na yun. So I wonder. So anyway,
I wonder
sh-
if she knows how to do it as
oo,
well.
'di ba? Parang
Maybe. Siguro
with
naman.
99.1% clarity, 'di ba? Talagang
Oo. I think
crystal
I
blue
think she
situation.
I think she had an idea din about that, 'di ba?
Oo, kasi I mean, chemistry is not an easy thing to
Oh,
study. Well, basic lang naman yung pinag-aralan natin nung high school. Pero
ay,
mas gusto ko siya kumpara sa physics.
basta
Ikaw,
ako basta pag may number ayoko na. Basta pag may
in
number ayoko na.
fairness, ako
Nagahang ako.
siguro, nag-aano ka ba? Naggaganon ka?
Nagahang. Kailangan
Naghahang
i-review.
ka?
Oo.
Siguro
So you
nag-i-influence.
prefer
Oo,
mhm.
chemistry kesa physics kasi magaling yung in fairness magaling naman talaga yung teacher ko nun, third year. Hello kay Miss Lydia Calata. So, ayun, sobrang ay, Grace Calata pala. Sorry, sister-in-law pala ni si Miss Lydia. So, anyway, she successfully
Mhm.
handled, the Margaret Thatcher. Thatcher successfully handled the Iranian embassy crisis, which established her as a strong leader. And that was not an easy thing to do considering you were against Iran. So
Mm.
ayun,
May
she also
namatay dun, 'di
implemented,
ba?
oo, meron.
May namatay
At
dun, 'di ba? I think one or something.
uh, syempre, collateral damage,
Yeah,
unfortunate.
oo.
Pero,
Mm.
at least she was able to pull through that. And she even free market economy in Britain through organization, although not a lot of bigwigs appreciated this
Yeah,
move from her.
this move.
Pero in the long run, ano kasi, parang nagre-recession nung time na yun eh. She had to do
Yeah.
para
Mm.
hindi
Mm.
magtuloy-tuloy na mag-drop ang her strategies.
Yeah.
She reduced the militant trade unionism. Yan, that resulted in the sharp decline in the loss of working days. The economic policies she introduced lowered inflation in the 1980s. So in the long run naman, nakitaan naman natin ang ng
Ng ano, ng
improvement
result
yung
na,
mga
oo.
ginawa. Oo.
It was a
I-
ballsy move, but yeah, not
Oo.
everybody appreciated it kasi may mga nawalan ng work,
Maraming
nawalan
nawala
na
ng work.
nawalan ng work, 'di ba? So, it wasn't really. I don't think her aim is to become popular, but I think she's more
Oo.
into what is good for everybody in the long run.
Oo. You remember the episodes in The Crown about
Ah,
that
yeah,
guy who broke into the room of
yeah.
Queen Elizabeth.
Mm-mm.
Gusto lang niya talagang makausap kasi na parang bakit ang daming nawawalan ng trabaho, hirap na kami and stuff like that. Tapos
Mm-mm.
eventually parang nagkaroon sila ng tension ng queen because of
Yeah.
her processes, her move to
Mm.
stabilize the economy
Yeah.
of Great Britain.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. Okay, what else? Ito yung ano, wanna continue? Mm-hmm.
Sure. Mrs. Thatcher also implemented the right to buy policy, which allowed tenants to buy homes at discounted prices. So this was somehow her way of telling the masses na, okay, I am not really naman your enemy here. So I
The
also
bad
have,
guy here.
oh, I'm not the bad guy here. So I have other plans din naman for you to be successful. Also, she led Britain successfully through the Falklands War na talagang isa din sa mga sakit ng ulo niya. I
Mm-mm.
think she was already the prime minister when I forgot the name of that uncle of Charles who was
Oh yeah.
assassinated, right
Lord Mountbatten.
there. So Lord Mountbatten, the playboy, um, uncle of Charles. So ayan, parang doon nag-start yun. Then she played a major role as a broker between Reagan and Gorbachev in 1985 and 87 that led to the successful negotiation of the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, or the INF, that ended the Cold War in 1989. So, okay, I'll let you do this, Cleo, because my
Okay,
nose
sige.
is running.
Oh, sige, sure. So, sabi nga ni Shops, she was the longest serving British prime minister during the 20th century. So, in 1990, she decided to resign as prime minister and leader
Oh,
of her party. And then 2 weeks after, she was appointed to become member of the Order of Merit. So, meron na siyang dinidikit sa pangalan niya, OM. So, it
OM.
was given by Queen Elizabeth II. And in 1991, she was also awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So in the United States naman ito.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And in 92, the following year, she was given a peerage for life as Baroness Thatcher, which entitled her to sit in the House of Lords. So sinabi nga nila, the relationship between her and the Queen wasn't really very good, but I think there was some mutual respect for both women, from
It
both women.
wasn't that rosy. It wasn't that rosy. Kasi in a way, parang ganun sila eh.
Mm-mm.
Oo.
'Di ba, magkaiba, eh. But I guess they had
Yung
this
mutual respect
respect,
talaga.
yeah, mm. Kaya naalala ko yung isang episode sa The Crown nung sinabi ni Prince Philip. Of course, this is not we don't even know if it was really true kasi may
Ah.
mga it's also based on fiction, but, sinabi ni Prince Philip, "2 women running the shop." 'Di ba?
Oo. Yes. That was funny.
That was funny, yeah. Okay. Ito, I'll do this na lang kasi si Lady Nene na we
Oo.
included her. She's a lady from feudal Japan.
Oh,
Uh,
Asian represent naman, oo.
Asian represent naman kasi puro mga Europeans tayo kanina. So Asian represent naman. Si Lady Nene. So she was an aristocrat. Her name was Kodai-in. And she was also the Buddhist nun founder of the temple Kodai-jin in Kyoto, Japan. So if yung mga mahilig mapunta sa Kyoto, there are she was a very famous resident. So marami kayong makikitang evidence that are linked to her.
May
So who is
question ako. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ang capital ba ng Japan nun wasn't Tokyo? It wasn't Tokyo before, 'di ba?
No, I think it was Kyoto.
There.
I think it was
Okay,
Kyoto.
that explains it.
Yun, Kyoto. So yung mga mahilig sa anime, may mga makikita kayong names dito or may maririnig kayong mga names na medyo familiar sa inyo. Kasi si Lady Nena, she was the uh, principal samurai wife of Toyotomi Hideyoshi. So Hideyoshi was known as the second great unifier of Japan. During that time naman, Japan wasn't the united country that it is now, divided by prefectures. Ito naman divided
Oo.
by um, areas or states that were ruled by warlords or daimyos. Ayan, I'll try.
Daimyos.
Yeah,
Daimyos.
daimyos. Ayun. So si Toyotomi Hideyoshi was the leader of the Toyotomi clan. He was allied with Oda Nobunaga. So who
Nobunaga.
was Nobunaga, he was the great unifier. Siya talaga. So kasi he had a dream to unite everybody, to unite all the states in one rule. With him
This
being,
was
yeah,
feudal Japan days, no?
yeah, feudal Japan, yes. And of course, di ba during that time, the society was very patriarchal. So,
Oo.
walang masyadong sayang mga babae. But with Lady Nene, she was very trusted by her husband, Hideyoshi. And she led all diplomatic affairs when her husband is away. And siya din ang in charge at nagmo-monitor sa mga hostage nila. So, sino ba yung mga hostages? The hostages are from rival or some former rival daimyo families na to keep the peace kasi daw para daw to keep the peace between rival clans, they would give each other hostages sa mga members ng families nila. So
I
pag ang
see.
sabi, when one para iwasan din daw na iwasan ng betrayal kasi if that happens, mamamatay yung mga hostages nila. So, yun daw yung nakikip ng peace. And these families that she was taking care of, they were held hostage at Osaka Castle na gusto kong bisitahin in the future.
Oh, how I wish.
Oo. So, as wife ni Hideyoshi, as what we've said earlier, she was his closest aide and confidant. So, kung may mga kailangan na advice si Hideyoshi, lagi siyang lumalapit sa kanyang wife, which is quite unusual. Kasi usually, sabi mo nga, di ba, it's usually the advisors were men. But
Oo.
in Yoshi's case, he goes to Lady Nene for advice. And because she was an intelligent woman, and she would influence her husband. Tulad nung pag-repeal ng
Tax
tax
exemptions.
exemptions. So she wrote to her husband asking him to reinstate it, and he did it. Yun. So ganun ka-importante si Lady Nene for
Nice.
Toyotomi Hideyoshi. Okay, so in 1606 with Tokugawa Ieyasu, I think this is very familiar with a lot of Samurai X fans. So
Uh-huh.
si Tokugawa Ieyasu established a Buddhist temple in Kyoto. That's where she moved. So this was after Hideyoshi died. She decided to just establish a Buddhist temple. And of course, when nagkaroon ng fight for supremacy between Toyotomi Hideyori, ito yung anak ni Hideyoshi, not from Lady Nene because she was unable to bear him any
Oh,
children.
I
So anak
see.
to ni Lady Chacha. Totoo, Lady Chacha pangalan niya. Chacha. Nickname lang naman yon.
Nickname ni Chacha.
Oo, pero yung parang matawa kasi yung iba kasi talaga pangalan niya talaga Lady Chacha. Diba? So, So yun,
Excuse me.
he was named as the heir. But of
Uh-huh.
course, syempre may mga nagva-vie for power. So
Oo.
ang ang naglalaban that time was Hideyori and Tokugawa Ieyasu for supremacy. And of course, Lady Nene took Ieyasu's side. I don't know why, but maybe she thinks
Oo.
that Ieyasu was more experienced. And in fairness naman, Tokugawa Ieyasu was a very experienced leader. Tsaka proven na talaga si Ieyasu. Um, that's why nabuo yung Tokugawa shogunate. Ayan.
I see.
So after her death in 1624, she was posthumously given the name Hikari no Tenshi or Angel of Light. May
Yep.
makikita kayo kung yung iba daw, may mga games daw, computer games, video games, na nandun daw si Lady Nene. Parang kinuha yung character niya. And Toyotomi,
Ah,
she was also, I forgot the name of the video game, but nandun yun. And since she's a prominent Kyoto resident, a street is named in her honor. So, Nene Street or Nene no Michi. So, ayan yung Japanese characters about
oo.
tells her name. It's still in Kyoto. It's still there, and it's lined with traditional Kyoto structures, traditional style. Yan. Umiyak na naman sila. Basis na yun. Oh, sige. Gaaway na naman yung mag-ama sa game. Ayan. So, yan si Lady Nene. So, she's the first Asian on the list that we have included. Okay.
Yes.
So, Lady Nene. Okay. Gusto ko sana include si Lady Chacha, kaso si Lady Chacha kasi she was also very powerful, pero ano siya eh, very, ano ba yung ugali niya? Si Lady Nene kasi very gentle and patient. Si Lady Chacha kasi was very impatient naman and also very ambitious. Na-deads din siya. Ano siya, she and her son did seppuku.
Oh.
When I think nung natatalo na sila ni Tokugawa Ieyasu nun eh. So ayun.
So they sliced their bellies.
Yeah, for I think for the men is for the belly, for the women
Oh,
it's the
okay. Oh, it's the neck.
it's the neck. Ayun. So ikaw, do you wanna do this?
Of course. So hopefully hindi na makisama naman yung ilong ko this time. So Princess Diana, Our Lady Diana Spencer, before she got married to Prince Charles, is called, of course, the People's Princess. She, well, she's one of the women I highly, highly admire because of her humanitarian work. Even after she got, how do I say this? Even she got divorced, and she hindi naman siya disown eh, pero she was not recognized by
Yeah,
the royal family
she couldn't
as a princess.
use the
Her
HRH title
HRH
anymore,
title.
pero she still retained the Princess of Wales.
There you go. So she's a style icon, a prominent philanthropist, and a patron of more than 100 different causes across various fields. One of which would be, of course, AIDS and
Mm-hmm.
um, AIDS, and of course, uh, children's causes. She advocated fervently for the banning of landmines, and her visit became a turning point for the world to put the spotlight on Angola and its landmines. I believe, she she walked through a landmine
Yeah, she did.
without thinking of her safety, and people got really nervous for that clip kasi anytime 'di ba magkamali ka lang ng tapak,
Yeah.
eh you
Kaboom.
know kaboom, shredded ka into pieces. But that was a really brave move for her. Now, this effort won a Nobel Peace Prize a few months after her death. Um, well, we all knew how she died, which was really
Yeah.
unfortunate. Well, we all know that she was very influential when it comes to HIV and AIDS treatment. She was seen shaking a patient's hand without wearing gloves, and this sent a message to the world na hindi naman nakakahawa yung sakit just because
Mhm.
hinawakan mo yung tao. In fact, kriminal eh. Tsaka 'di ba, if you
Yeah.
exchange needles from an infected, if you use a needle from an infected individual, nung time kasi na develop ang sakit na 'to, hindi pa alam ng mga tao na hindi naman gano'n yung level niya na parang
Yeah.
coronavirus ngayon na, 'di
Mhm.
ba? Mas nakakatakot
Mm.
kasi hindi mo nakikita. Pero when
Yes.
AIDS or HIV was detected, they knew for a fact na you have to keep your pants tightly sealed, or kumbaga you need not jump from one partner to another,
Yeah.
practice safe
Correct.
sex and all that. But you can definitely still be intimate. But evidently, that was discovered years after
Mhm.
she perished. Pero yun nga, she opened the eyes of the world that people with this type of sickness need to be cared for. They're like, they're not really that dangerous. Just hold their hand. You can embrace them, and
Yeah.
you can even talk to them. Diba? She became a patron of Center Point, which helps the young and homeless off the streets in 1992. And she constantly visited shelters as well, taking her young son, Prince William, and Prince Harry along. That was one of her main her remarkable behavior. Hindi talaga siya yung katulad ng mga old school na royals na talagang kasama ng mga nannies yung yung mga anak. Siya talaga kinakaray niya yung dalawang bata kahit saan siya
Mhm.
magpunta as much as possible. She really showed na Harry and William na she's their mother, and she will
Yeah.
care for them as much as possible. And there was even a confrontation that she did between a paparazzi and
Yes.
herself during
Mm-mm.
a trip to a snow or a ski resort.
Ski resort, yeah.
Yeah, a ski resort in Switzerland, and she politely told the paparazzi, take note, politely, told the
Politely.
paparazzi that if you can like stay away because she wants some privacy with her sons, and her
Mm-mm.
sons deserve not to be watched or not to be photographed, and not like her. So
Mm.
there, those were once one of her really her struggles. She became so famous na in the long run that killed her,
Yeah, she was
unfortunately.
yeah, she was really a mama bear. Alam mo yun, na talagang
Oh,
protective talaga siya. And of course, some people would question her intentions, would question her personality. And she's
yes,
not really perfect. She's not really a saint, but we're highlighting the things that she did. Like yung
yes,
pag walk about, she
oo,
would she has the power of touch. I think she believes in the power of touch.
yes.
Na lalapit siya. Tapos before daw, sinabi, na with one documentary I saw that with the queen, she's on a polite distance, social distancing. Polite distance, she smiles at people, she nods at people, but
Oo,
for her, she approaches people, she talks to them, she shakes their hands, she accepts flowers. But I think later on, that was already adapted by other royals na.
oo.
Yung kanyang
And
walkabouts niya.
oo, yung walkabouts niya, tsaka I think nakita nila na ginawa ulit yon yung kapag she levels with the kid, when the kid, you know,
Yes.
presents
Mhm.
her flowers. And after like many, many years, when Kate Middleton did that to her son, and then
Mhm.
eventually in one of her walkabouts, parang na ano yung mga tao na she's doing what's doing, what Diana did before whenever she'd encounter kids in her walkabouts, na talagang umuupo talaga siya din kung anong suot niya. Talagang, di
Mhm.
ba, nakikipagkwentuhan siya eh. And
Yeah, I
I
think
think,
she's very chatty, no?
oo, very chatty siya. Kaya nga,
Yeah.
mapapaisip ka na parang mahiyain mahiyain ba siya talaga, or meron siyang underlying reason, or something na ginagawa niya para ma-win talaga yung charm ng mga tao. Kasi 'di ba, we all knew what happened. Charles became envious of her
Yeah. I think it was
popularity.
I think it was pretty evident.
Oo, oo, oo.
Yeah.
Even in their visits together,
Yeah,
sobra.
parang ano daw, may isang yung visit nila sa Australia, I think. So
Oo.
they did this side, and Charles was here, Diana was here, and yung mga tao daw nandito kay Diana. Kaya parang I think one of the press yata said, somebody cover the prince.
Oo.
Kasi
Kasi 'di ba, ano
nandito.
niya, kumbaga yung Australia trip na yon, it was his, kumbaga coming
Mm,
out trip as a
yeah,
heir to the throne. Pero ang nangyari parang it
upstage.
was Diana's coming out.
Na-upstage siya.
Oo,
Yun nga
na-upstage talaga
parang,
siya.
I think he was really, I mean, I'm not really familiar with his personality, but I don't think he was a bad person. I just thought that maybe Nina na-shock siya. Tapos that's the stark contrast with the current wife.
Yes.
Camilla was just happy to be in the background, but I
Oo.
think I don't know whatever Diana's reasons were. She came across as very genuine. That's why
Ah,
people were drawn to her. She seemed
ah,
very genuine.
and also I think that fed Charles's ego, the behavior of how Camilla behaved towards him and how much respect she shows Charles na
Mm.
parang 'di ba she stays calm and collected whenever
Yeah.
he rants to her, hindi niya ino-oppose, hinahayaan lang niyang kumuda si Charles. Pero Diana, she's totally different. She really
Mm.
airs her side and she questions Charles na parang, "Ano bang maling ginawa ko? Ano ba yung ginagawa ko naman lahat?" It's
Mm.
just they weren't really a match. She was just really,
No.
she was just chosen just to produce an heir,
Yeah, that's
unfortunately.
right. Maybe if they had time to really get to know each other, perhaps. But
Oo,
uh, the thing is, it didn't end that well. Parang ang mas
oo,
affectionate pa nga si Andrew and Fergie.
oo, oo,
Sila pa yung, pero of course, we all know what happened. But yun,
oo.
but the thing is, because
Pre,
people are saying yun nga na Diana planned it all. But then again, we are not going to highlight on her personal life. It's more of what she did. And
oo,
even if when she died, even if you don't know her personally, may iyak ka
oo,
eh.
oo, oo,
I mean, you don't,
totoo yan.
hindi mo siya kilala, hindi mo siya na-encounter personally, pero she has this certain magnetism about her.
Magtataka ka eh, bakit ang daming nagluksa when she died.
Mm-mm.
That's why she was dubbed the People's Princess
People's
after her death.
princess.
And
Yeah.
yun nga, that was my phase of collecting every single Diana memorabilia I could get my hands
Mm.
on.
Mm. Kaya nga tinatanong ako itong itong esposo ko. Sabi niya, masyado kang, sabi ko, interesting kaya.
Totoo.
Oo, interesting kaya. Kaya I also don't think that there will be another Diana. I don't think there will be another one. Even of course her daughters-in-law are trying to make a mark for themselves. Hindi, iba eh. Ayoko
Iba.
magsalita about she who must not be named kasi I'll get worked up. I'll
Tama
get
na.
so worked
Wag na.
up.
Oo,
Tama
baka
na.
mamaya
Wag na.
ma-high blood ka pa.
Kaya ginagawa ko, kaya when that came out, hindi ko pinanood kasi baka ano na ako, baka ma-trigger ako, kaya wag na. Kaya, di ba, there's nobody like her. Gusto ko yung pagiging genuine niya, yung touch, yung
Oo.
when she hugs yung mga patients, lalo na yung may
Oo.
HIV, it was, it was it wasn't what you would have expected from somebody in her stature, in her
Oo.
stature rather. Diba? It's
Yes.
not really like that. And it's good that her sons are continuing her legacy.
Oo. The level of humility is there. Alam mo yun, na alam mo talagang nakita nila sa nanay nila.
Mm. Ang
Hindi nila
sabi nga daw,
ginagawa just because
uh,
the cameras are there.
are there. Kaya nga sabi daw, sabi sa isang documentary, Charles introduced the boys sa opera, everything classy, mga ganyan,
Oo.
the classics. She introduced them to McDonald's,
Oo,
to
to carnivals and
diba?
amusement parks.
Amusement park. So hindi siya parang best of both worlds ba? So it's good
Oo.
that yung mga anak niya continuing her legacy na she's about spreading, love and good vibes, acceptance and so on. That's why we
Right.
included her. Kasi baka sabihin ng iba, ba't kasama yan? Eh, di ba, hindi naman siya ganito, hindi naman siya ganyan. She's not a saint, yes. But it's more of how she has influenced people, how
The
she
world.
Yeah, the world. Okay. Okay, and yung susunod nating lady is somebody very current. I really like
Oh,
this
yeah.
woman. Si Tita Michelle. I
Michelle
like
Obama, 'di ba
her.
may kanta diyan? May kanta siya.
Ano, hindi ko alam. Ano yun?
Fifth Harmony yata.
Oh, hindi ko
Oo,
alam.
title lang nilipsync sa RuPaul's Drag Race
Ay,
yung
talaga?
pinaka-ano na version, yung season 13, inano, nilipsync yan.
Titignan ko nga, hanapin ko. Yun. And anyway, do you
Oo.
wanna do this?
Sure. So Michelle Obama is she was first lady during the rule of Barack Obama. Of course, she was born January 17, 1964, and is very much alive and active in the world. Michelle Robinson worked in the Chicago city government as an assistant to the mayor in 1991, and then she became the founding executive director of the Chicago chapter of Public Allies, which was a non sorry, which was a non
Okay.
um, American nonprofit
Non-profit
organization.
organization.
It was helping out young adults no that time. So from yung mga background ng mga kabataan na to up until yung sa education nila, professional experiences, iyon, tinutulungan nila na ma-develop itong mga kabataan na to. Now,
Mhm.
in 1996, she joined the University of Chicago as an associate dean of student services, where she helped to develop the university's first community outreach program. So she was similar to Diana. She loves helping people, obviously, and she was all about developing the youth. In May
Yeah.
2005, she was appointed as the VP for Community and External Affairs at the U of C, University of Chicago Medical Center. Um,
Mhm.
so the U Chicago Medicine. So if you're gonna look at her achievements, she's all for the development of the youth, which is
Yeah.
I think is wise kasi totoo naman ang kabataan ng pag-asa ng bayan, sabi nga ni Jose Rizal, 'di ba?
Mhm.
So she might as well help out, especially she's a woman of color, she's a POC, a person of
Mhm.
color. Talagang alam niya yung struggles kapag you are a woman of color and you're a person
Yeah.
of color, and
Mhm.
you don't have that much, what do you call, how do I say this, you don't get that much opportunities, and
Yeah.
you don't get that much favors as well.
Mhm.
When siya talaga, she's been raising the bar when it comes to developments of children, particularly kapag you're a person of color. There you go.
Of color. That's why it's very admirable kasi since she became first lady, people started looking at African Americans in a different light. When
Totoo.
she was put in that position. And of course, as what you've said, her focus is really the youth. And
Mm.
it's like in 2010 she launched Let's Move. So this one naman about childhood obesity. Di ba ang dami-daming mataba-ching-ching ng mga bata sa States na we all think it's
Oo.
cute, ganyan. But come to think of it, later on it will have health adverse health effects na nahihirapang gumalaw yung mga bata and all.
Oo.
Yeah, kids are now being encouraged to move more para hindi tumaba. Di ba tayo sa Pinas, pag mataba, ay, cute, 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 cute. Pero pag
Taba-ching-ching.
napansin, taba ching ching. Tingnan mo parang very sluggish minsan yung mga bata gumalaw.
Totoo.
Ayun, kaya dapat daw, it's good that they have this public health campaign para i-reversing yung child obesity. Yeah, cute. Pero tingnan mo naman yung ano, parang yung sa movie na,
Eventually.
ano bang movie yun? Wall-E. Yung mga
Okay.
matataba, yung mga may mga matataba yung sa ship na nahihirapang gumalaw so parang naka-wheelchair sila na ano ba? so that's I think it's a really very good initiative coming from them na to reverse the trend of childhood obesity.
Uh-huh.
And 2011 with the current First Lady
First
Jill
lady.
Biden, she launched Joining Forces, a nationwide initiative calling all Americans to rally around service members, veterans, and their
And
families
their
to support them
families.
for wellness, education, and employment opportunities, which is also a good cause. Kasi iba yung mga veterans, let's say, nag out of service because of accidents or whatnot, mga wala silang opportunities for work whatever.
True.
So this is a very good project for them. And again, in 2004, Reach Higher initiative was launched. So ito naman again inspiring young people to look past to look into their future na hindi lang makontento finishing high school.
High school, oo.
Yeah, kasi 'di ba sa like sa states na if you finish high school it's okay. I mean, it's your choice if you want to go to university or not. And
Yes,
if
the goal
so
is
you
to
can
finish
start
high school.
working. Oh, but the thing is, ang ganda na yung nila, you could have more opportunity. You could have more opportunities if you pursue higher studies, which is
Mm,
really very good, diba? Ayun.
that's true.
And of course, meron pa siya, puro talagang,
Ayan.
napansin ko talaga when I'm reading about her, puro initiative about the youth. You let girls learn. So this was launched in
Oo.
2015. So mga adolescent girls naman. And first, when she became first lady, yon, she also became known for her effortless style. Sino ba yung usual niya go-to designer niya? Kalimutan ko kung sino. Hindi ba si
I
Carolina
I'm
Herrera?
not aware,
Hindi.
but
Pero
she loves, ang napapansin, well, we can say, parang kasi very stylish siya,
very clean cut
yung
eh. Oo,
ano
oo,
niya
oo.
eh, yung mga niya eh.
Mm. 'Di ba? Kaya yung yun nga that we've talked about it na people started looking at African American women or women people of color, persons of color in a different way when she became first lady and her husband became president of course. And I was looking
Oo.
ang hirap kasi maghanap ng book nito or hindi ko wala lang talaga akong time magbasa. I wanted to read yung memoir niya, yung Becoming.
Oo.
Uh, It was released in 24 languages and sold 1.4 million copies in the first week. And I think there's a documentary about her on Netflix.
Yeah,
I've
I
seen it.
think so.
It was so good. Parang, ko naman, parang ang bawa talaga ng luha ko. Parang, pag, pag nakakakita siya ng mga young girls, 'di ba? Parang na, iba yung attraction sa kanya. She has this magnetism na she really comes
Oo.
across as very genuine.
May
And
may
she's also a
charisma.
Grammy. She's also a
Oo,
Grammy
Grammy
Award
winner,
winner
'di ba?
so for her
Audiobook.
audiobook. Okay. Di ba? And in 2008, she was chosen as by Time Magazine as the Woman of the Year of
Sobrang
2008.
tall order ng achievements niya.
No, parang she was a hard act to follow.
Oo, hard act to follow talaga, and yun nga, she's the kind of woman who uses her influence talaga to do what's good for her community, her fellow men. Nakita mo naman talaga yung mga ano niya, initiatives niya, yung mga ano niya, yung mga kung sino yung mga nagbe-benefit talaga sa mga projects niya. It's the youth, the young girls, veterans. So alam mo talaga yung mga less favored ng
Mm.
society. So very admirable of her to do so.
Yeah, I wonder if she will. I don't think she will ever run for politics or whatever. I think she would really be good at doing some things like this. Hindi talaga linked
Oo,
with politics or whatnot. No.
totoo. Parang yun na lang eh, kung nagagawa mo namang mag-change ng lives ng ibang mga tao, yun dun ka na, stick ka na, 'di
Mm.
ba? Kasi
Yeah.
politics is a dirty game.
Yeah, totoo. And silang dalawa ni Barack talaga, relationship goals. Talagang
Oo.
very, ano, ang ganda nung, nakakatuwa silang tingnan, parang very in love.
You both see them growing
Mm-mm.
together and supporting each is uh goals in
Mm.
hindi hindi mo nakikita na
Sa
peke.
pawan.
Ewan ko sa
Mm.
akin,
But
I
that's
see it.
good. Yan. Okay. So, we have talked about those ladies. So, yun yung medyo napahaba. We are very sorry, but it's really good to, put these ladies into the spotlight and see what their contributions were. They are the trailblazers, kumbaga. Diba? Trailblazers. Okay. And we just want to end this with the usual. History is not boring. It's part of the fiber of our existence. Tandaan natin, wala tayong saysay kung walang kasaysayan. So, follow us in our social media pages like in Facebook. Instagram and Twitter. Do you have
Yes,
any
please.
announcements for the month of April?
Well, for this week, of course, let us do our best to contemplate and contemplate and say our prayers every day. Pray for our frontliners, our essential workers, and of course those who are currently affected by the virus. You know, hindi biro yung nangyayari sa atin sa bansa natin. To think na sa New Zealand at sa Australia nagpapa-concert na sila. Nanonood na sa
Oh
stadium
my
ng mga
gosh.
rugby games yung mga tao. At tayo nasang level tayo. Parang parang repeat lang 'to ng 2020 guys, 'di ba? So hopefully this Holy Week, let's pray hard as individuals para naman maibsan na. Actually,
Yeah.
umangat na tayo in terms of safety. Wag na tayong pasaway, please. Wear a mask when you go out. If you can, double your mask if you really want to go out and buy something, but please don't hang out or don't just avoid crowds, guys. It's for your
Mhm.
safety.
Yeah.
Ang may nakita nga ako, I think I'll share this on Facebook later on. Treat yourself as if you are affected by the virus, and at the same time, whenever you go out, think about the people that you're gonna be interacting with as if they have the virus. Ganun na yun dapat yung perspective mo, yung thinking mo, just for you to keep safe. So
That's
thank you
right.
guys for dropping by and checking us out. We hope that you find time to watch the full video. We had a very good run today. We really appreciate
Mhm.
your support. You know, we have a Facebook page na po. So do engage with us. With Instagram and Twitter, we will try our best to keep that active.
Yeah, to be more active. Yeah, ang hirap pala.
Oo, mag-social media moderation,
Kaya,
medyo
eh.
challenging po. So, may
Mhm.
kanya-kanya din naman po kaming mga trabaho at mga gawain. Pasensya na
That's
po.
right. Totoo. So thank you, and I hope that you will also join us this coming April. We have a lot of things in
Yes,
store. Yeah, so di
we're
mo na namin
hoping to
ano.
oo,
Yeah.
we're hoping to invite panelist din, 'no?
Yes,
Mga
finally.
friends namin who are like-minded. Kumbaga, we will invite them to join us in our discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Probably about uh, uh, a
After
country
the
in
Holy Week
Asia,
na.
yung susunod, oo, oo.
Oo. So we'll probably be doing this after the Holy Week. So we're just ironing out the details.
Yes.
But of course, those who are following us on our Facebook page, please feel free to join in. Kung meron kayong, kung gusto nyo makisama sa presentation dito o maki-live sa amin, that's also good.
Message
So
niyo
that
lang kami.
message na lang kami so that we could also arrange that, di ba? Para hindi lang
Uh-huh.
puro kami nakikita nyo.
Of course, let's collaborate. Oh, we're open to collabs.
Collaborate. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much. And like what Shop said, please keep safe. Wear a mask properly. Wag yung under
Ah,
the nose kasi
oo.
hindi nakakatulong yan.
Cover. Cover
'Di ba? Hindi.
your mouth and your nose.
Totoo. Yeah, so please also be mindful. Protect yourself, protect your family, protect everybody around you. So thank you so much for
Yes.
watching, and
Thank
we
you.
wish you a great Sunday and have a peaceful
Yes, a peaceful Holy Week.
Holy Week. Okay, bye.
Bye.